I've worked with developers who have 8 years of experience and are still juniors. I've also seen developers with 3 years of experience become seniors. The difference between them isn't talent or how many languages they know. I've seen this play out dozens of times. The developer that grinds for years, learns frameworks, writes clean code, and still gets passed over. Meanwhile, someone else on the team just gets it. They're not writing fancier code. They just think differently. And I'm not talking about the soft skill stuff. I'm talking about real, tangible differences in how senior developers operate every single day. So let's get into it. Starting with number 1, which is understanding trade-offs. Now, this one's really big because a lot of juniors will think things are either right or wrong, when that's not really the case. Senior engineers understand that there's trade-offs involved, that every option has pros and cons. When you start thinking there's a right and a wrong solution, you end up pivoting your mindset into some kind of biasness toward a certain framework or maybe tool that's really not always the best scenario for every type of situation. And that trade-off is what dictates the future of your product. Whether that's speed versus quality, whether that's consistency versus flexibility, whether that's you buy or use a product that's free, or you just build it internally yourself. There's always going to be a trade-off involved, and there's no one size fits all. Inside this step, there's also something that we all need to be striving for, and that's writing good enough software. Writing good enough software doesn't mean you're writing bad software. That means you're writing what is needed at that specific time. When you're writing software, you never want to try and encapsulate and do everything at one time, because the goalpost of what the finished product looks like is always moving, right? You never know what the finished product's going to be. You think you do based on the current timeline, but the features and what the product is turning into shifts every single day. So you never want to try to over-engineer or over-abstract in the very beginning, because you never know what the ending is going to look like. So you're always going to try and write good enough software. I'm curious to your thoughts. Leave in the comments what you think are the biggest trade-offs that are debated all the time, like monolith versus microservices. I'm really curious, and I'll also add my opinion in the comments. Now, going into number 2, which is system thinking. This is a big one, because when we all get into this profession, we all think it's always about coding, when it's so much bigger than that once you zoom out. And juniors, and I've noticed a lot of mid-levels, they get a ticket and they immediately start coding. They immediately try to solve the feature or solve the problem with code. And a lot of times that is what you need to do. But there's also, in reverse, a lot of times where coding might not be the best solution for whatever you're dealing with at that time. Sometimes it might be using a library that's already created, or looking through and finding a function that can be reused. But it's always important that when you get that ticket that's saying complete whatever, that you think about the downstream effect that can be happening throughout the system. That downstream effect is what alters literally everything about your application. And what I mean by that is, if you change a piece of code, does that require a database change? Does that require a new function? Does that require modifying a different function or class that you already have in your application? Does that mean you have to modify a migration or a SQL model that's already in your code? You always want to identify the downstream effects, because that's what's going to have the biggest impact on your system. Not the new feature or the new code you write that's completely written from scratch, completely isolated from everything else. It's what's already in the system that you're going to have to now change. And you're going to really want to make sure that there's tests in a CI/CD pipeline that really validates what you're writing doesn't have a downstream impact on everything else. And one of the best things that you can do from the very beginning is think of your change and add telemetry, add logging. Those 2 items alone can completely save your application if things are going poorly. And my favorite ways of handling that is using open telemetry, or just add simple logging in your cloud infrastructure or whatever you're using for your application, because those can absolutely turn a disaster into something that's not nearly as bad. Now, number 3 is the I have been here before feeling. This one's funny because it's hard to identify in the very beginning. When you're really starting to learn how to be a software developer, you never have that feeling, right? One of the problems with that is you don't know what you don't know. And with that, when you don't know what you don't know, there's so many gaps in your knowledge. And those gaps end up becoming real blockers or real issues later on, because you can't necessarily connect all the dots in what you're trying to build because there is gaps in knowledge. Seniors, or people that have been in the game a little bit longer, they can identify these gaps or these patterns and have seen issues before. I remember I applied for a bank back when I was first starting to learn how to code. And one of the questions they asked me in this in-person interview was, what happens when you see this error? And I forget what the error was. It was something to do with like Java heap, something to do with Java heaps in memory. And they asked me, how do I fix that error? I had no idea at the time, no clue. And that was their moment of being able to identify, has this guy been actually in the fire before? Has he figured out solutions to problems that might occur later on? And those little situations, those patterns, those little areas that you are able to identify and be like, I've been here before, that's what makes people want to hire you, because that could cost, a week of time for somebody else to deal with. And if you've already been through it before, you might be able to know shortcuts or know how to fix it immediately. So those are really, really important. And with the saying of you don't know what you don't know, I'm actually creating my own backend operating system platform that teaches you all of these gaps in knowledge. It's fully in beta right now. Go ahead and click the link below and sign up for free, and you get access to everything. It's video, text, code editors, everything all in the browser in that platform for you. So go check it out. Also, something that's really hard in the very beginning, because I've also been there, of knowing which rabbit hole to go in to really try and find all this data. Like, what do I really want to spend my time investigating to try and get the most knowledge I possibly can to grow myself so I can be a better engineer? This is really hard. When I was starting, I started off with Java, struts, Spring Boot, then I switched to Python Django, then Python Fast API. I have been all over the map in different areas. I was in SQL and MySQL and Postgres and Mongo, not knowing what really to dive into because I was just following trends. I was just chasing whatever would pop up on Google search at the time because there was no AI, and trying to identify like, where do I want to be, and making sure that I had all of this knowledge. And what ended up happening was I became a jack of all trades, master of none. And when I say jack of all trades, it was literally just a little bit of everything. Like, remember, I would be able to tell you what Docker was, but I wouldn't know how to implement it. And a lot of people are in that, where they know the buzzwords, they're following the buzzwords, they're chasing the buzzwords, but they can't implement. And that is a huge thing you need to be able to do in 2026. And the only way you know what rabbit hole to fall into or really dive deep in is putting in the reps, building real applications. And yes, you can use AI. Yes, it's all about making sure that you're in front of your computer and creating an application. Whether you're going to make it public or not, you want to make sure that you are building something real, because that's how you learn. You learn by putting in the reps. So make sure you're putting in those reps. Now, number 4 is removing roadblocks. Truly, removing roadblocks is the definition of a 10x engineer. Now, I guess it's like half of it, because the other half is mentoring, but the way you become a 10x engineer, or someone that everybody wants on their team, is by removing roadblocks. A roadblock is something that stops someone from being able to proceed. So think of it like, you have a developer on your team who's ready to push a feature to GitHub for a QA tester to check, but that entire pipeline's not set up that when a push goes, it kicks off a dev environment for the QA to check, and like you have no one on your team that knows how to set that up. If you're the person who knows how to set that up, that means you just removed a roadblock for the team, which means someone who's never done it before doesn't have to spend their time doing it, which means they can still focus on what they know how to do while you remove the roadblocks. And if you're able to continually remove roadblocks, continually mentor and grow others, and that's how you become a senior engineer. Another thing that you want to do inside this removing roadblocks realm is time boxing your struggles. If you are a junior or mid-level engineer, you might get stuck somewhat frequently on things, and a lot of it comes back to you don't know what you don't know. So you might be working on like a TTL for Redis. If you don't know what a TTL for Redis is and you get assigned that task, you might want to spend a little bit of time investigating it up front, but you don't want to try and just take over the entire feature and go from there. You want to make sure that you bring a senior or somebody along that's been through the ropes with that, because not only does that help you learn quicker, It also helps get the ticket done faster because it might just be like a little bit of explanation that you might not know from the very beginning that will significantly help you in the future. Now, the best way to time box this is a lot of companies have it differently. I recommend 1 hour. 30 minutes to 1 hour, depending on how stuck you are. If you get stuck and you've been working on it nonstop for 1 hour, it is time to reach out and get help. Promise you, it will change so much for you if you just simply reach out and ask for help. That is the game changer that you need. That is the game changer that so many people need, but are scared to do it because you don't want to be like, hey, I need help. And then you get a new ticket and then you're like, hey, I need help. This is literally the best people I've ever had on my team grow the quickest because they ask for help in the beginning, which ends up making them ask for less help later on, instead of just burning all this time in the beginning, which just decreases the entire team's velocity. Your team's capability is not increased based on the best performer on your team. It is actually just decreased based on the worst performer on your team. So make sure you time box and ask that high performer what's going on to keep your entire team's velocity high. And now, number 5 is mentoring, which is the second half of being a 10x engineer. If you are a senior engineer or you're wanting to become a senior engineer, you need to help people grow within their craft. You multiply your impact by teaching others. The quicker you can get people with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of experience operating at 7, 8, 9, 10 years of experience, the better your team's going to be. And it all comes down to mentoring and teaching. And you can do that by either one-on-ones with people. You can do that by jumping on calls with people and helping them get through features. You can do that by code reviews and going in depth with them. One of the biggest impacts you can have on a team is growing everybody on the team. Think about sport teams. The best players are on really good teams still. You still know who the best player is in football and basketball and all these sports. You know who the best player is, but you usually can also identify all the other great players on the team. You cannot have a superstar on a team of average or below average players, or you're going to still get an average or below average team. You need to make sure that the entire team is getting uplifted and becoming great, because that's the only way to keep the entire velocity high. I hope you were able to learn from this video, and I will see you in the next.